I still remember the sound of his keys hitting the counter that night. Sharp, metallic, final. It was the sound of everything I thought was secure beginning to fall apart. "Emily," he said quietly, standing in the doorway. His eyes unreadable. "We need to talk." His voice wasn't angry. That terrified me more than if he had shouted. Michael wasn't the type to raise his voice. He was calm, methodical, even in pain. For 7 years, he had been my safe place. The man who brought me coffee in bed, who remembered the anniversary of our first date, who never forgot to lock the door before sleeping. He trusted me completely. And I had betrayed that trust. It started as something I thought was harmless. A harmless text, a shared joke at work, a moment of attention that I mistook for affection. His name was Daniel, a colleague who listened when Michael was buried under deadlines and long nights at the firm. I told myself it was just friendship. But then friendship blurred into something dangerous, something electric. The first kiss wasn't planned. The second one wasn't resisted. And everything after that was my choice. Guilt became a constant ache in my chest. I'd lie awake beside Michael, his hand resting on my waist, and I'd hate myself for letting someone else's touch live under my skin. I wanted to tell him, to confess, to fall apart in his arms and beg for forgiveness. But I was a coward. So when he found out, I wasn't ready. "How long?" he asked that night, voice steady but low. Froze. "How long what?" He gave a bitter smile, the kind that looked like it hurt to make. "Don't insult me, Emily." The air seemed to vanish. My heart thudded painfully. "Michael, How long?" His restraint was worse than rage. His hands trembled slightly, but his tone never broke. He had already seen the messages. The late-night texts I forgot to delete. The ones I thought I'd been clever enough to hide. I swallowed. "A few months." He blinked once, slowly, as if trying to wake from a nightmare. "Was it love?" he asked. The question sliced deeper than any accusation. "No," I whispered. "It wasn't. I don't even know why." He laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "You don't know why. You just tripped and fell into someone's bed, Emily." Tears burned my eyes. "Michael, please." He stepped back. "Don't." The word hit like a wall. For a long time he just stood there, staring at the floor. His wedding ring glinted in the dim light. Then, quietly, he pulled it off and set it beside my phone on the counter. "You should stay here tonight," he said, turning away. "I'll find somewhere else." And then he left. The days that followed were a blur of silence. Michael didn't yell, didn't demand explanations. He simply vanished into the routine of his own solitude. He moved out of our bedroom, slept on the couch when he came home at all. Every attempt I made to speak was met with cold politeness. "I'm busy. We'll talk later. I have nothing to say right now." It was unbearable. But then one evening I came home to find the house spotless, unnaturally so. His clothes were gone from the closet. The photos on the hallway shelf, the ones from our honeymoon in Santorini, had been taken down. Only the empty hooks remained. A note sat on the kitchen counter. "I'm not leaving out of anger. I just need space to remember who I am without the weight of your choices. Don't call me. Don't look for me." My legs gave out. I sank to the floor, clutching that note like a lifeline. I destroyed everything. Weeks passed, then months. I tried calling him, but he never answered. His social media was silent. Mutual friends told me he'd taken a temporary assignment in another city. The man who once couldn't go a day without texting me had erased me completely. And still, every night I waited. I told myself he'd come back when the pain dulled. That he'd forgive me when the anger faded. But he didn't. Then, almost 4 months later, I received a message from him. "Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. or spot." One last conversation. My heart nearly stopped. The next evening, I arrived early at the little Italian restaurant where we'd had our first date. Everything looked the same. The flickering candles, the smell of garlic and wine, the faint hum of piano music. When he walked in, my breath caught. He looked different, leaner, sharper. His hair was shorter, his eyes colder. But when he smiled politely, it was the same man I'd loved for years. "Emily," he said, pulling out a chair for me. "You look well." I wanted to cry right there. "Michael, I'm so sorry. I know saying it now means nothing, but..." He raised a hand. "Please, let me talk first." He nodded. He leaned forward, hands folded neatly on the table. "When you cheated, I thought it was because I failed you. I kept replaying every moment, wondering what I didn't do, what I missed. But then I realized something. You didn't betray me because of who I was. You betrayed me because of who you chose to be." Flinched. He continued, his tone steady. "I spent months trying to hate you. But I couldn't. You were still the woman I loved, even if you weren't the same person anymore." Tears streamed down my face. "Michael, please." He sighed softly. "I didn't call you here to reopen wounds. I called you because I needed to tell you that I forgive you." My heart stopped. "You what?" He nodded. "Forgiveness isn't about excusing what you did. It's about freeing myself from it. I don't want your choices to define my peace anymore." The tears came harder now. "I never wanted to lose you. I made a horrible mistake." "I know," he said gently. "But you did lose me." His words landed like a quiet verdict. He reached into his jacket pocket and placed an envelope on the table. Inside were divorce papers. "I've already signed," he said softly. "You don't have to rush. I just wanted to give them to you in person, because you deserved that much honesty at least once." I couldn't breathe. "You're really doing this?" He gave a small, sad smile. "Emily, you broke something that love alone can't fix. I hope someday you find peace with yourself. I already have." He stood, leaving money for the bill, and looked at me one last time. "Goodbye." And then he walked away. I sat there long after he left, staring at the papers, the candlelight flickering across my trembling hands. I thought forgiveness would mean hope, that it would open a door. But instead it closed one. In the weeks that followed, I learned that Michael had accepted a permanent position overseas. A mutual friend mentioned he'd been volunteering with a local shelter, helping rebuild homes. He was healing, quietly, beautifully, in a way I never deserved to witness. And me. I lived in the echo of what I'd destroyed. Every time I passed a coffee shop or saw a sunset that reminded me of us, I felt that familiar ache, the one that whispered you had it all and you let it slip away. Because the truth about betrayal isn't just that it breaks trust. Breaks you. Michael didn't yell, didn't seek revenge, didn't even curse my name. He did something far more devastating. He forgave me and walked away.